So anyway, after they entirely killed the crowd, we got another brief backstage segment. Orton, Triple H, talking about Orton's not sure about Kane, and Triple H says Kane is their pawn and he's going to stick to the plan, and that Orton is the plan. And then Triple H says they want Orton to leave Battleground with the title. Orton says there's no need for a plan B, right? And Triple H is just like, yeah, sure, kid, whatever you say.
Yeah, pretty much telling Orton, you're working out now, but don't be surprised if we invest elsewhere. It's not necessarily coming out and saying we're evil, just look into alternatives. No, it's just telling him, you can cross the road with us, but just be sure to look both ways for your own sake.
Yeah, pretty much, because we're not going to be looking out for you.
Exactly.
He's literally saying, Randy, we want you to win the title, but if you don't, we've got backup plans that'll still keep things in our favor. So either win the title and stay on our good side, or we'll keep the title in our camp and you'll be on our bad side.
Yeah, not a good place to be if you're the apex predator.
He hasn't been the apex predator in so long because the Authority has neutered him. But that makes him so much more entertaining, and I love it.
That is true. It's quite a conflict. You can do it, Orton. You can do it.
Honestly, I think I'm going to be cheering for Orton in this match because, I mean, very few people actually want to see Cena win. A lot of people want to see Reigns win, but to me, I don't want to see Reigns win because I think that would be a massive blown opportunity. Nobody wants Kane to win. I'm going to be cheering for Orton in this match.
You know what? I completely agree with you. I think you and I will be a unified front come Battleground, cheering for the Legend Killer.
I mean, we say that, but then the match will start, and Roman Reigns will be Roman Reigns, and he'll get us behind him eventually, even if not.
You know what, though? I feel like he will, in a sense, but I think in the back of our minds we'll know, no, it's not time.
Right.
It's not time. To me, Orton, I just feel like it's so natural to see him with the belt. And there was a time, believe me, I used to complain about Orton being a world champion, but you just gotta accept he's so good. Like, in the ring. And he really has been mistreated, I think, in all the big angles he's been a part of. So to see him kind of, to me, even though he's a top guy, it's almost like Orton's getting his comeuppance in that case. Like, it's nuts, man.
Yeah. So, up next, we had Cesaro versus Big E. Cesaro comes out alone, but Big E doesn't for whatever reason. Apparently he and Kofi are good friends now because Kofi... I don't even know. This doesn't make any sense, but Big E actually ends up beating Cesaro clean, so whatever, I don't know. Words, John, words!
I could just imagine how that union went. Kofi, were you attacked by Cesaro? Yeah, I was attacked by Cesaro. We should team up! Yeah! Man. And conspicuous by his absence, Paul freaking Heyman. Where were you, Paul? I was counting
on you, okay?
I'll tell you
where Paul was... talking with his client, Brock Lesnar, who conquered The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania.
I love you for trying, but it really just isn't the same. Like, oh man, Paul, where were you?
I give you credit every time you do that, whether it's good or not, and you just couldn't do me that same service.
I mean, of course it was good, but I'm just like, Paul, where were you here? And of course we know where he was, Ashton. Canoodling with the enemy, but we'll get to that later. Cesaro and...
You say the enemy like Cesaro's not already a heel.
I want that world title, Ashton. I am sick and tired of playing these games.
You can't wait another 9 months for WrestleMania to come around so he can
no!
the biggest stage of them all?
Because I've waited like close to 10 years for somebody that I fervently support to get a goddamn world title, and now Paul's abandoning ship. Oh, you do this to me, man.
But
anyway.
You've only been behind Cesaro for like 3 months, maybe 4.
Yeah, but I've always been an admirer of his work because he's so freaking good. You know what? He'll get there. He'll get there. But tonight, you know where he got? To the bottom. Because, yeah, he had a nice back and forth with Big E. They had great power.
I mean, he started at the top, but then he got slammed down to the bottom.
Really?
Just saying.
Really? You had to invoke that thing?
It's like the opposite of started at the bottom, now we hear.
Yeah, I think the general audience got that. I certainly got that, but it doesn't help. It's more grade A salt in the wounds. These two fought each other. They had a great back and forth in all seriousness, bringing it back down.
So, John, are you saying that you're salty?
You are really testing it tonight. So they keep. I don't even know where my voice is anymore.
Well, I mean, it would help if you would answer the question.
I'm Paprika, okay? God damn it. Okay? So they're killing each other. Kofi Kingston's not doing anything because he's Kofi Kingston. And this
He
is...
grabbed a chair out of Cesaro's hands.
Oh, did he? Did he? What a wonderful little helper he was. Yeah, that'll just cinch him his umpteenth Intercontinental Championship. How's breaking that glass ceiling working for you, Kofi? You douche.
Oh, don't say that. That glass ceiling is there for racial reasons, man. That's not cool to go poking fun at.
You know what? You're probably right. And that is a tragedy. That is a tragedy. More specifically for Big E, I honestly don't really feel for Kingston at this point because honestly, even if he was of a more preferred race, as I'll say it, I still feel like...
Let's clarify, in Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn's eyes.
In Vince McMahon and Kevin...
We don't have a preferred race, John. Come on now, man.
Clearly not. Well, you know what I meant. I think everybody knew what I meant. If I had to
I know what you meant, and our fans knew what you meant.
Well, yeah,
but I don't want, again, like last week with the worse than Hitler joke and the domestic abuse stuff, I don't want some butthurt troll taking what we say out of context and twisting it into something terrible.
Yeah, because people, well, those types of people anyway are just idiots that have nothing better to do. So, yeah, you know that I mean Vince McMahon and Kevin Dunn because they have this perceived notion of what a world champion should be. And as much as I dislike TNA, at least they take a chance, doing what's right and actually trying to cash in on ability.
Well, and dude, it's not even just TNA, NXT. Big E was the NXT World Champion for like 4 to 6 months, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that's where the real tragedy for me personally, because I'm a huge fan of Big E, particularly NXT Big E. This guy could have been on the level of freaking Ryback with that 5 gimmick. I don't understand why. I feel like there could have been points where he could have been competing for the prize if he had that gimmick. But no, he comes in another way, which was fine. But then towards the end, meaning like right now in the present, they stereotype him again with the preacher-style promos. There's no need
and
for
dude,
that.
That's another crazy thing. Big E actually cut a promo on the app tonight, which for whatever reason, I felt compelled to keep my phone nearby me, and I have the app downloaded, so every time something happened on the app, I got this weird notification sound, and I turned it on, and alas, things happened, and I'm glad I did, because 3 of my 5 favorite segments from tonight happened on the app, and they were all interviews. One of them was Big E, and the other 2 were Fandango and Xavier Woods. But Big E spoke like Big E on the app, not a freaking generic, stereotypical black preacher.
That's wonderful. See, that's what we need. These guys are good enough. And again, even though, my horse is hugely Cesaro, and that's where all my stock is, not taking anything away from Big E, the guy is legitimate. This was a fun match between 2 powerhouses that I agreed with what Ashton was saying to me, because again, we were talking about this. They should have built this clash of behemoths. This is something that should be on a pay-per-view card and actually get attention, because both guys are worth that attention. I just think the way, especially Big E, because I do think Cesaro is just fine. I think he's losing his way to a championship personally, but Big E in particular, I think the way they've treated him is a joke. Really is a joke. If you looked how he was on NXT, he had rock star status on NXT.
He still does. I mean, if I were Big E, I'm hoping that rather than getting a pink slip, I get a demotion slip, because going to NXT for Big E is a promotion.
It really is. And it's scary that I'm beginning to think that more and more, Ashton, about so many talents. I was just saying the other day that it's a shame that Drew McIntyre didn't get demoted to NXT and be able to work things out. That's the place.
Look at how many wonders it's working for Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel's careers.
Exactly.
I mean, for God's sakes, Jinder Mahal's career got extended by at least 2 years, thanks exclusively to NXT.
And I know this isn't the best argument either, but hell, I mean, Brodus Clay came and he got 2 NXT World Championship matches. So these guys were really able to do something. And now I just feel like guys like Big E are treated like jokes, even though, bringing it full circle, he gets the win tonight. Because as you said, Ashton, Kofi Kingston intervenes, gets the chair out of Cesaro's hands, and then Cesaro ends up eating a big ending for the win. I would like to think that maybe Big E can get back to prominence, get that Intercontinental Championship back, but I think everybody knows who our favorites are, and we'll more formally line them out for our preview and predictions this coming Saturday. But yeah, I mean, that seems to be the story here is Cesaro, Kingston, and Big E. Wouldn't be surprised to see these guys in the final 3 to 4. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
Yeah. All right, John, I am going to apologize for my brief and vague nature in this upcoming review. But honestly, as good as it was so insubstantial that I don't even know if I have anything to say about it. Chris Jericho comes out, huge pop, cuts a Chris Jericho promo, gets interrupted by Bray Wyatt, who cuts a Bray Wyatt promo, and then the lights go out, the Wyatt family's in the ring, Jericho evades them, works his way up the ramp, and gets assaulted by Bray Wyatt, and that's it.
Pretty much. I mean, right on the money. I mean, Jericho comes out, and he pretty much does the same promo that he's been doing. You know,
he literally cut the exact same promo that he cut on SmackDown. He might have redone the order of which he said things, but he used the exact same line. If you want to get crazy, we'll get crazy. If you want to get nuts, I'll get nuts. And the crowd ate it up, dude. They were so feeling it because they even got a let's get crazy chant going on. Like, this crowd was from Mars or something. I don't even know.
What I would love to see, and again, I'm making all kinds of weird connections tonight. You guys got to forgive me because you know how I felt about this.
We're both grasping at straws at this point, dude. We're trying to figure out ways that we can, in our mind, play mental gymnastics enough to make this Raw really good.
But the Jericho I want to see at Battleground, it was the Jericho that I got to see in his feud with JBL back in, I want to say 2007. That's it. And, you know, they had a match at the Royal Rumble, and it was very personal because on an episode of Raw, JBL was just dragging Jericho around by the throat with this rope, pretty much choking him out. And the match at the Royal Rumble ends, Jericho hits this vicious chair shot to JBL, and then he's strangling him with a camera cable. And it's crazy. And Y2J's bleeding, and JBL's bleeding. It's crazy. Blood's everywhere. I think it got it. This is awesome, chant. What I would love to see is the Wyatts kind of do to Jericho what they did to Cena at Mania, but they go all the way with it. Not necessarily a heel turn, though, for Chris, but I want to see him just go ballistic on the Wyatts. I'm talking chairs and maybe even, do another strangle job and just really...
You can't strangle anybody since 2007.
Yeah, Justin Roberts in the tie, correct?
2007, Chris Benoit.
Of course.
Yeah.
How ironic that I, of all people, forget that.
That was why the Justin Roberts incident was a problem for Daniel Bryan.
Oh, poor Bryan, because I laughed so hard at that particular part of the segment. But yeah, just really in general, fine, we can't do this right, but I think you all get the context of what I'm trying to say. Have a big assault from Y2J. He keeps saying that he can get crazy. It's time that we see it come Battleground. Because I feel like if we don't...
But John, if you want to get crazy, he can get crazy. And if you want to get nuts, he can get nuts. Don't you understand? He can do it, John.
Yeah, that's great.
You know what, though? I do want to take 1 second here just to acknowledge that Chris Jericho is doing everything during this Bray Wyatt feud that John Cena failed to do. He is putting Bray Wyatt over as a legitimate threat.
I completely agree with you. No, I have to say Jericho has done a brilliant job of building Bray Wyatt up because, and ironically this came from Chris's book, I think the number one rule of promos, whether you're a babyface or a heel, you don't completely tear your opposition down and you don't completely build yourself up. You walk that tightrope. And Jericho has done it in the context of this feud brilliantly. And Bray, I don't even really think has to worry about it because his promos are of such a style that you can't really say that he's elevating himself too much, and you can't really say like when he's really putting the other guy down. It's, I don't know, kind of there, but I think in a good way. So these guys have worked, but I think Jericho needs to up the ante. Either just, I don't know, chair shots or something to the Wyatt family, and then he does something to Bray in particular. He gets crazy. I want this thing to break down. I would like to see it go to a no DQ or some variant of that match at SummerSlam. Otherwise, this is just going to feel like just another Chris Jericho feud, despite the exceptional promo work.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, pretty much. It's one of those things where Jericho is paying the respects that you would expect a true veteran of his craft to pay, whereas John Cena was just all, LOL Cena wins.
Precisely.